The law, as we understand it, should work like this. First comes the crime, then comes the punishment. But in Chinese history, there is a saying that describes something almost completely opposite. 儒家之足以化无期. If you want to convict someone, you will never be short of reasons. This runs against everything we think law is supposed to be. The logic of law should go. Someone commits a crime, and then they are held accountable. The charge comes first. The punishment follows. But this saying describes a different order entirely. First, someone decides that a person must be guilty. Then they go looking for a reason to make it stick. Why would this reversal exist? What does a saying that has survived 3,000 years actually reveal? Throughout Chinese history, the law did maintain basic social order for the vast majority of ordinary cases, settling disputes, punishing wrongdoing, keeping daily life from descending into chaos. But history tells us again and again that inside the circles of power, the same set of laws could take on a very different shape. The same court, the same statutes, the same charge. And yet, one person dies, and another walks away untouched. Why? The case that answers this question most clearly happened in the Southern Song dynasty, the 11th year of the Shaoxing era, winter. Yue Fei was escorted into the Supreme Court of Justice. Before this moment, he had been the most important general in the Southern Song. 20 years of military service, hundreds of battles, never defeated. The Jin commanders had a saying about him. It is easier to move a mountain than to shake Yue Fei's army. His greatest wish in life was to lead his forces north, reclaim the territories seized by the Jin dynasty, and bring back the two emperors who had been taken captive. But it was precisely this wish that brought him to the doors of that prison. Emperor Gaozong didn't want more war. He needed a reason to stay south of the river. He needed a peace treaty. He needed the fighting to stop, even if that peace came at the price of surrendered land. Yue Fei was too effective, too committed. As long as he was there, the peace talks would be impossible to push through. As long as he was there, the soldiers at the front would still be thinking about marching north. So Qin Hui began building a case against him. The charge was treason. Han Shizhuang, one of the other great Song generals, confronted Qin Hui directly. What exactly did Yue Fei do? Tell me clearly. Qin Hui answered with 3 characters. Mo Shuyu? Roughly, perhaps there is something, or perhaps there might be. Han Shizhuang fell silent for a long time. He understood. There was nothing left to say. The trial continued. Documents were processed. Officials went through their procedures. But finding the truth was no longer the point of any of it. The conclusion had been reached before the trial ever began. The charge was just a formality. In prison, Yue Fei wrote 8 characters on the wall. The sky sees clearly. The sky sees clearly. He stopped defending himself after that, because he understood that when the conclusion arrives before the evidence, defending yourself can no longer change very much. Using facts to fight a verdict that has already been decided, that fight was lost before it began. And defending yourself could make things worse. It would signal to the power above, you haven't fully surrendered yet. And what the power finds hardest to tolerate is precisely that. Someone who hasn't surrendered. On the eve of the new year, in the 11th year of Shaoxing, Yue Fei died in the prison of the Supreme Court. Yue Fei's case forces a deeper question. The Song dynasty was not without legal institutions. The censorate monitored officials. The Supreme Court of Justice conducted trials. The Ministry of Punishments carried out sentences. Every step had its officials, its procedures, its statutes to follow. But this system had one fundamental limitation. Its authority ultimately came from imperial power. When the emperor wanted a particular conclusion, these institutions could only comply. They could not push back. Imperial authority held the final say and could shape where the judicial process ultimately led, when the power to charge and the power to judge both trace back to the same source. Law is no longer only a set of rules. It also becomes a tool. If someone needs to be found guilty, the charge will appear. If someone doesn't need to be found guilty, even the most damaging evidence can be set aside. In a structure like this, what determines the outcome is rarely the facts of the case. It is whether that person is still useful to the power above them. When they are useful, even serious evidence can be buried. When they are no longer useful, perhaps there is something is enough. This pattern did not exist only in ancient China. Wherever the power to charge and the power to judge are concentrated in the same hands, similar logic tends to emerge. History has written the same story in different languages, across different dynasties, across different eras. This saying has survived 3,000 years, not because people enjoy what it describes, but because it names something unsettling and undeniable. The law has two faces. One faces ordinary people. It is order, protection, accountability for wrongdoing. The other faces the struggles within power, and there it sometimes becomes an instrument for completing a conclusion that was already decided. Ordinary people see the first phase, those who find themselves at the center of a power struggle often end up seeing the second. What is truly worth watching is not any single specific charge. It is the kind of structure that can interpret and apply the law, however it chooses. What history has reminded us of again and again is not whether law can be used to harm people. It is this: when the law loses its independence, is it constraining power, or is it expressing it?